Hello and welcome to episode 1 of the Washington Nationals franchise. Now I have to point out right away, this is not your typical episode 1, and you probably gathered that by the screen that I'm starting on right now. But for those of you who might be brand new, you might be clicking on this thinking it's episode 1 to a start of a new franchise. It is, but it isn't. It mainly isn't, I guess, if I'm being completely honest, because we played 3 seasons of a Nationals March to October. We won 3 straight World Series. So we aren't starting with the Washington Nationals that you're familiar with. We have 3 seasons of roster changes under our belts. But me, along with you guys, the regular viewers of the March to October as we were playing it, we decided that the best course of action would be to continue from this point in a franchise mode. So that's exactly what we're doing today. And I'm not gonna lie to you guys, it has been a long time since I've been this nervous to sit down and record a video. I don't know why. I'm just kind of nervous for the change. You know, we got into the routine, we played 3 years of a March to October, and now it's something completely different. There's a lot we're gonna learn together along the way. There might be some rocky patches, some rough patches, as I try and discover what the best way to make franchise videos is, but we're all gonna learn that together, and I'm excited to get the ball rolling here. So, without any further ado, let's say goodbye to the Nationals March to October once and for all, and click continue in franchise as we head into year 4. And there we go. We're in franchise mode. I guess I should say what I actually plan on doing today, because today is going to be the off season, year 4 off season. So I guess we can go ahead and advance day here and actually get into the off season and see what's good. I should say I did do a practice run with this off season just in case there was anything that I might mess up or anything I need to know. So I kind of know a little bit about what's going on. So I already knew that we'd be having to deal with signing a new GM contract. Turns out that since we started in the March to October, there's a couple of settings that you would be able to manage before starting a franchise that we didn't get to manage, and turning off GM contracts was one of them, but those always expire after 3 years, and we just played 3 years in the March to October. Obviously we're going back with the Nats, and then it's the typical moving into off-season things. So retired players, we only had 2 in our organization to retire, and neither of them were anything to worry about. There was only 1 Hall of Fame selection, and that was Max Scherzer, and he's going in a Met, which I'm sure he will in real life. But now we move on to the real off season here, and this is where things get way more complicated than they were in March to October. In March to October, all we had to do was worry about signing free agents. That was it. That was the only thing we had to do. But we have a lot more to do in a franchise offseason. And the first thing we're going to do is take care of our staff. We need a new hitting coach and a new farm director. But this is actually the first time that I'm getting to see who our coaches are and what their attribute rating things are. And it turns out that the new coach that got auto-hired after Dave Martinez was let go after the 2nd season, this guy stinks. Tom Griffith is a C attribute grade, which I think is as bad as it gets, and the only plus he gives is to blocking. But you know what? He's got only 1 more year left. Let's give him a chance to be a 2-time World Series winner before we cast him aside. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't even know what these coaching attributes do. I know they've been in the game forever, and I have played franchise before with having to deal with this, but I know the ratings aren't just in-game boosts. Like, I know some of them are. I don't know what determines which ones are. I don't know the ones that aren't, what they do, if it's for progression. What I do know, though, is there's still got to be some benefit to signing the best coaches you can. So I'm going to put in an offer on Robbie Jernigan to be our new hitting coach. Going to bump up the offer to $1.7 million a year over 3 years. He gives a +2 to contact power and plate discipline and only a -1 to drag bunting, so like, who cares? And when it comes to farm director, for some reason the pool of guys you can sign for this is the same for managers, so I feel like I had to scroll down a bit because the top guys probably aren't going to sign for farm directors when they can sign as coaches. But we found this Alfredo McLeod. He does have an A grade, +3 to pitching clutch and home runs per 9. So we're going to go ahead and offer 3.2 mil over 3 years. And then now we can head over to our exclusive free agent negotiations, which this was the sort of thing that I really didn't plan on bringing anybody back. I already made peace with Lane Thomas leaving. And then I think just about everybody else was just random 1-year contract auto signings from March to October. But yeah, the plan for this offseason was always going to be to try and promote from within. We have 3 roster spots to fill, 2 in the bullpen and 1 position player. But one thing we have to keep in mind now is we have to deal with injuries. It could be good to have some depth at different places, and we have a selection here of relief pitchers that we could bring back to be some depth in the organization. We already do have some depth. We have Hunter Harvey, we have Victor Arano, but it couldn't hurt to sign 1 more for cheap. So I'm going to put in a 1-year offer for Ronaldo Lopez to come back, only $700K. He's going to be down in the minors and only get called up in the case that somebody or maybe even 2 people get injured. But these are the kind of offers we're gonna make, man. It's gonna be a somewhat slow off season in terms of anything exciting happening. The sole focus is just gonna be making sure we don't mess anything up and get all of our guys back. And then when it comes to the major league roster, like we already said, promoting from within. So we're gonna get started on the simming then, and Robbie Jernigan accepted our offer to be the hitting coach, and Alfredo accepted as the farm director. And we're gonna sim right into the free agency period, and this is where things really get complicated. The 3 main things that we have to do right now in this period is select our 40-man roster so that we don't lose anybody who is eligible for the Rule 5 draft. We have a big list of players that we have to offer salary arbitration to, and then the entire rest of our organization we have to at least offer a contract. But just out of curiosity, let's see what's at the top of this free agent class. We got Vlad Jr., Dylan Cease, Kyle Tucker, Real Muto, decent amount of 90+ overalls, none of which though I plan on making any sort of offer to. So when it comes to selecting our 40-man, we have 10 roster spots available. We only have 30 players on our 40-man roster right now. And it doesn't really seem like we'll even lose anybody that significant besides James Wood if we don't add him to the 40-man. But we know of the 3 guys that I plan on calling up anyway, so we may as well go ahead and add James Wood, Leo Blanco, and Ayala all to the 40-man. Victor Arano was eligible for the Rule 5 draft, and I mentioned having him as another depth relief pitcher option, so we'll go ahead and get him added. And then with depth in mind, I feel like we may as well just add Riley Adams back to the 40-man so we have that 3rd catcher on the 40-man in case, or I guess when, one of our catchers get hurt, because I feel like that's something that's just going to happen. But then after that, I don't think there's anything else I feel like we need to do. We can just leave 5 spots open. We don't really have anybody else who I think will even get taken in the Rule 5 draft, and even if they do, it's not that big of a deal. So now we move on to tendering contracts. And this is the sort of thing that caused me to want to do a practice run for this. So these are all the players in our organization that aren't eligible for arbitration yet. And most of them, I think anybody who either isn't currently on the 40-man or has never played in the MLB, it's a pretty simple, just offer them a 1-year contract for like $60,000 to $100,000. And that's all you can really do. But where it starts to get complicated is everybody else. But it seems like all you have to do for these guys to not end up free agents by like December 2nd or whatever it was is you just have to have a contract offer on the table. And as long as you do that, they can't become free agents. They can't negotiate with other teams. And then if it comes to it by the end of the offseason, you just renew their contract for the next year. So pretty much anybody who's looking for more than just that 1 year $80,000 contract or whatever. The plan is to offer them a contract that they probably won't accept, and even if they do, it'd be extremely team friendly. And then at least that offer will be on the table so that at the end of the offseason, we can just renew them for the next season. Now, while I handle all of these contract offers, I kind of want to just ramble a little bit for anybody that cares, mostly just for me though, about kind of the plan for this franchise in terms of maybe when episodes are going to come out and how episodes are going to look, because that was one of my main concerns when deciding to move this into franchise. Is in the past, when I've tried to make franchise videos, I've been really bad at it. When it comes to focusing on like a single team in a long-term franchise, there's really only two other people I've ever watched do it, and that's Mr. Hurricane. If you've ever heard of him, you probably have if you're interested in franchise content. But then there was another guy from a long time ago called Straight Outta Boston, who, man, I loved his videos back in the day. But both of them had the style of video for franchise mode where they would record everything in advance and then edit it down and record a voiceover. And that's what I've tried to do in the past, and I was really bad at it. But the funny thing is that's what I'm doing right now. My plan was, at least at the start, while I was getting comfortable with everything, is I was just going to record everything live and edit it down from there. But I recorded this off season and it was going to be well over an hour long, and we just don't need that. So I went back, I'm voicing over some things later. Hopefully it comes out good, but I kind of think that's kind of how most episodes will go. I think when it comes to actual gameplay, and definitely when I play full games, that will all be live recording, but then some things I might butt in, do some commentary in post. And the hope is that that style of switching back and forth won't be disorienting, but it'll actually help the flow a little bit. So with that in mind, I really feel like I can't commit to like a solid schedule of uploading new episodes of the franchise, because I just don't know how long it's going to take me to make each video the way that I want to make it. I really thought this first episode, the off season, was going to be the easiest, because I thought, I just record everything live, get through the off season, throw it up there, and boom, it's done. But I already know this is coming out way later than I planned on. But I want to make sure we keep a good pace in terms of moving through the season. It usually took like 15-ish episodes to get through the regular season in March to October, so I think we're going to try and have it be similar in franchise mode, so there's going to be plenty of simming. I'm definitely thinking about doing some player locks. I have critical situations on, which is kind of like March to October, where it might say, oh, you're down 1 in the bottom of the 7th, go into the game and make the comeback. But the other thing I'm thinking about doing is, instead of just simulating a game, I'm thinking maybe every game I should go into quick manage, and then that way I'll have the most control possible, because I'll get to set the lineups every day. I'll get to pick the pitcher in the rotation. And if I wanted to even get super hands-on, I would get to make the call of who and when to go to the bullpen. And then in that case, critical situations won't matter, but I'll be in a position where I can be like, hey, I want to hop into the rest of this game and make sure we take the dub. So yeah, I don't know. I guess all of this is just to say I'm probably going to toy with a lot of different formats and different ways to go about things. The one constant is I plan on every episode having at least one full game that I'll play live, commentate live. But then from that point on, I don't know where the building blocks are going to fit in. So now let's move on to salary arbitration. These are all the players that have been around for 3 or more years, but less than, I think it's 6, so they're not free agents yet. In March to October, arbitration eligible players basically just meant another year of a renewable contract, because that all got handled behind the scenes. But now we have to take an active role in offering arbitration. So all of these players, as long as we want to bring them back and make sure they don't hit free agency, all we got to do is offer them a arbitration salary number, and that's basically what we think they'd be worth for the next season. And then they would submit a number, and then in February there's an arbitration hearing, which just means a little pop-up on the side of our screen saying who won the hearing and what their salary will be for the next year. But since I'm commentating in post right now, I'll just go ahead and say I have no idea what numbers to offer these guys. I was not really sure what more what the game thinks they'd be worth versus what I think they'd be worth. But all I'm really concerned about is making sure they don't hit free agency. So I'm just pretty much going to offer arbitration to everybody who can get it. And then if we want to, we can still negotiate further contracts, more long-term contracts. And the only three that I really decided to even think about right now offering them a longer term contract was CJ Abrams, Tristan Casas, Luis Garcia, all three of them in a row right there. A lot of the upper guys, it was their first year of arbitration, so I kind of want to just let them do that for this first year, because I think in the first year of arbitration, they're really not going to make all that much anyway. So I figure just go ahead, let them get their arbitration money, which won't be like a ton, and then maybe this time next offseason we can think about offering them a longer term deal. But the first guy I want to offer to is Luis Garcia, because he's already in his second year of arbitration and he's only 25. He's going to be a free agent at age 27. So if we can lock up a year or two of that free agency when he's still young, we could probably save a couple $1,000,000 in the future if we sign him now. So the offer I put together was 24 mil over 4 years with a player option for that fourth year that he probably will decline, because by that point he's going to want to make more than $6 million, but it's just to get his interest in the deal up more. So basically we're just going to steal that first year of free agency from him at only $6 million, so we just have him for an extra year. Then we move on to Tristan Casas, and the reason I wanted to sign him is because he's already putting up numbers. He's already a 79 overall, even though this is his first year of arbitration. By that third year with that A potential, he might be in the 90s. He might be an MVP caliber player. So I figure by that third year of arbitration, he could be making over $10 million. So my offer to Casas was pretty simple, just $10 million over the next 3 years, which covers his arbitration years, breaks down to 3.3 mil a year. But I really think, especially by year 3 and maybe even by next year in arbitration, we'll be saving money. And then I ended up just not offering anything to Abrams. He wasn't really interested in a longer term deal. Like, his default deal he came up with was 2 years. And I figure with his skill set, I kind of could see him being somebody that gets phased out of the team. You know, hitting wise, he's just really good at contact against righties, but really nothing else. So I figure we'll just let him go ahead, deal with arbitration, and if he's not around for the long term, that's fine. So the next thing we're gonna do is actually go into free agency, but still just with depth in mind, because again, injuries are something we have to deal with, and we don't really have a depth infielder to call up if one of our infielders gets hurt. The only one good enough is Brady House, but I also kind of don't want to start his clock yet. And I found, to me, the perfect depth infielder to offer a 1-year deal to, and that is Yu Chang. He's a 74 overall, so he'd fit perfect down in the minors, and I feel like that's a high enough overall if we had to call him up. He can play all over the infield, and he has good fielding. He's only 30 with a B potential and still had some pretty good progression last year, and he's really not looking for as much money as some of the other options of a similar overall we're looking for. So we're gonna offer him a 1-year $3.7 million deal to be a depth player in the organization. He seems pretty interested, actually. So now we've done everything that I wanted to do on day 1 of free agency, so simming forward the next couple days, and the first thing that happens is a bunch of nobodies said they're no longer interested in our offer. These all come from the tender contract screen. And then also Dylan Cease is the first major free agent signing to go to the Orioles. We also see, going back to the main screen, that the Pirates re-signed Brian Reynolds and the Jays re-signed Vlad. We don't seem to get notified when any of our deals go through, so going to the transaction screen is how we see that we signed Yu Chang. He didn't even take more than 1 day to think about it. But then those 4 people that said they're no longer interested in our contract offer, what happens to them now is, since we don't have an offer on the table anymore, if we don't offer them another deal and have an active deal on the table by the deadline day, they just become free agents. But I don't really care, because all these guys are below a 60 overall. They're all D potentials, and they're all like kind of old. So my thought was, I remembered that with the new first-year player draft changes they made to this game, anybody who doesn't get signed by the team that drafted them is going to end up in the free agent pool. So I went looking for some young guys who might not have been signed by their teams. So this first guy I found as a relief pitcher, because 3 of those guys that were no longer interested in our offers was relief pitchers. We found an 18-year-old by the name of Chad Falk, and he's already a 60 overall, and he has a C potential, so he's already better than all those guys who are no longer interested, and he can get better. But then as I was looking for more, I came across maybe the biggest find that I possibly could have from this exact scenario. But we found this guy by the name of Gary Rainey, closing pitcher, 18 years old with an A potential, and he's already a 68 overall. And he's a lefty on top of all that, even better. So I even wanted to make sure he's signed, so I gave him $20K extra, bring him in on a $100,000 deal. I also found another 18-year-old relief pitcher. He's only a 53 overall, but still better to have him around than a 30-year-old D potential who doesn't even want to be there. But then to find a replacement for the one outfielder that didn't want back, I found Heston Kjerstad. He's 27 now, and somehow he wasn't signed to a team last year. That's where all the regression comes from, is just because he spent a full year as a free agent. But he's still a B potential. Even though he's down to a 64 now, he still has the chance to get better. But still, we're only bringing him in as a replacement to like a 50-something overall 30-year-old D potential. So I don't really expect or need him to get even close to that B potential, but if he does, that's just another bonus. And then simming 1 day in advance, all 4 of those guys signed their contracts, as well as Tristan Casas accepting his 3-year $10 million contract to avoid arbitration. But then from this point, it's kind of like I've done a lot of things I feel like I needed to do, and we're only a couple days in, so I feel like we can just go ahead and sim. So we see Devin Williams signs with the Braves, which is kind of a shame because that's in our division, and I don't have the easiest time hitting Devin Williams, and he's going to be there for the next 5 years. JT Realmuto signs with the Padres, only a 1-year deal though at 35 years old. And then the first date of significance here is to select the 40-man rosters, which we already did. I did want to go back and check because I know we signed a couple people just to make sure that they were either on the 40-man, or if they weren't, that they weren't eligible for the Rule 5 draft. Heston Kjerstad was eligible for the draft. At a 64 overall, I don't know if anybody was going to take him, but I figured may as well just add him to the roster. We have the space for it, but I guess that does kind of make it so that it'd be a little bit more important for him to maybe fulfill that potential. But then back to the transaction screen, this is where I noticed Luis Garcia also accepted his contract. So we avoid arbitration from him, and we have him signed. It just says the 4-year 24 mil, but remember that 4th year is the player option. But then all the rest of those arbitration guys, we're just waiting until their arbitration hearing. We're just bringing him back for the next year on that arbitration 1-year deal. All of our players on the tender contract screen have accepted their offers, besides the offers that I made that probably were never going to get accepted, but that just means that they're going to be renewable when that time comes. I also wanted to look into one more depth signing, since we didn't have a starting pitcher as a depth guy in case one of our starters went down. We do have a couple of our young guys who probably would be ready to go, but I don't know if I want to start their clock yet. So I decided we're going to offer a 1-year deal to Noah Syndergaard, 33 years old at a 72 overall. Gonna lowball him though at only 2.5 mil for the 1-year deal, but I figure we'll get a guy who's at least experienced, and at least we have somebody to plug in the second that one of our starting pitchers goes down. And then if he stinks, we can just go from there, figure out what we want to do from there, but at least we're covered and we don't have to scramble if that situation happens. Simming a few more days, and we see Ronaldo Lopez finally accepted that 1-year $700,000 offer. Another big signing, Zach Gallen goes to the Angels. They're finally getting some pitching. Bo Bichette signs with the White Sox on what I think is an extremely team-friendly deal. 5.5 mil over 5 years, just over 10 mil a year. That's crazy. But we're kind of at the point now where the only thing we have left is seeing if Noah Syndergaard signs on that cheap deal, and then just waiting to see what all these guys make in arbitration. So just continuing to sim. Dustin May goes to the Twins on a 6-year deal. Jack Flaherty goes to the Padres on a 4-year deal. Mike Soroka goes to the Giants on a 5-year deal. At the winter meetings, Logan Webb signs a $6 million deal with Boston. And then we have the draft lottery to sim. I didn't know that was a thing that MLB The Show had. If I'm being honest, I didn't even know MLB had a draft lottery. That must have been a new collective bargaining thing from this last lockout. But we weren't in the mix for that anyway since we won the World Series. So we're locked in at that 30th overall pick. And as we're about to enter the Rule 5 draft, the Pirates sign Kyle Tucker to a 9-year, $225 million contract. The Pirates? Remember, they already signed Brian Reynolds back on a big deal. So what are they building? They're the Pirates. Why are they throwing money around? But we can just move past the Rule 5 draft here. I'm not taking anybody. Everybody we needed to take care of is out of the pool. So simming all the way to the end of January, now Nico Horner signs in division with the Cardinals. Well, not in our division, in the same division he was in. You know what I mean. And now we're finally to our arbitration hearings. All of our arbitration offers are going through in this 4-day period. I'm going to save some time here, not break down every single one, because I did not win a single hearing. Like I said, I didn't know what to offer these guys. So it turns out I ended up lowballing every single one. It's not like we lost a ton of money in this process, but it's just kind of funny how every single hearing went to the player. But at least now I kind of know, or at least now I kind of get a sense. But then we see Syndergaard accepted his contract. So all of our contracts we've offered have been accepted. And now at the end of the offseason, we can go back and renew our contracts that are renewable. For some reason, Matt Cronin wasn't renewable by this point, but I still offered him a 1-year, $480,000 contract just because he's a lefty with actually pretty solid hits and Ks per 9. But that then brings us to the end of the offseason here. And I know we didn't make any flashy moves. We didn't spend any big money, but I accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. We brought all of our guys back, signed some depth players, and got this team looking exactly how I want it to look going into next year. We are going to get a little bit of spring training action here before we go today. We'll hop over to the live commentary for some player lock gameplay. So we are player locked on James Wood right now in the first game here of spring training. Get to face Walker Buehler. That's a pretty good matchup for our brand new guy like that. Got him batting second in the order here. Got that big strike zone. He's a tall guy. He looks like he has a pretty straight up stance. And man, I feel like I should have hit that better. Timed it up. Was kind of on it. And that was a 66 mile per hour off the bat. Really? All right, we got a runner on second and 2 outs this time around. Got to keep in mind, too, not everybody we're facing is going to be as good as Walker Buehler. So PCI is a little small. Might be a little tough to do something. We've only got 49 clutch also. That's a drawback of James Wood right now. Oh, and I'm punching out. That's on me. It's right there. All right, we got our next at bat here against somebody I don't recognize, so it's probably going to be an easier matchup, hopefully. Oh my God, that's a slow change, dude. We've hit 2 dribblers and struck out once. Doesn't make me feel good about James Wood, our top prospect. And we got pinch hit for, so I can't go down like that. I'm gonna hop into another one. All right, we're facing some dude named Lincoln Smith this time. That PCI is a little bit bigger. I just want one good swing with James Wood. I thought it was hit a little better than that. I mean, it is straightaway center. Only 94 though off the bat. We're also gonna have to keep in mind, I guess I could just show you my settings right now. I changed the gameplay style from competitive, which is what you play online. That's what we were playing March to October with, but I changed it to simulation, so it's a little more reliant on like player attributes and stuff like that, at least from my understanding. But we are still playing on Legend, so I do still have to put in some work here. That looks like is going to be James Wood's first hit in spring training, and it's going to go for extra bases. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Oh, and then I'm chasing. Well, seems like if I put a good swing on it with him, he hits it decently. I just have to be the one that actually makes a good swing. I want to get a look at Robert Hassel now, too. He's been in the organization since the start, and he's kind of played third fiddle, really, to both James Wood and Elijah Green. But he bumped himself up to an A potential, I think, in year 2 of the March to October. We got to go against Zach Wheeler here, so that's not giving him an easy matchup. Ah, I missed it. Timed it up, though, and made contact, at least. And that one's on me also. I'm not putting together good at-bats today. Oh, and now it doesn't get any easier. Wait, they have, it's the Astros, but they have Nola and Wheeler. Oh, did I just go deep, though, off of Aaron Nola? Oh, it's off the wall. But I'll take that. Turning on the heat inside. Just barely missing a homer there. That's a pretty good swing for a guy that I don't have any plans for this season. We are going to get pinch hit for after our third at bat. But I had that good swing. I think I'm satisfied with Robert Hassel there. I figured we may as well go ahead and get all of our center field prospects some swings here. So Evan Carter's in now, facing German Marquez. I don't think I got that one. Went chasing a little bit, was just late. Man, I want to see what he could do if I piece that up. And that one's not going to bloop in, so we can't get in between here with him. It's the first time we got to go lefty-lefty with one of these prospects. I think Carter, though, actually has slightly better attributes against lefties. So that's not bad. I don't know if we're going to get on here, though. Yeah, off the glove, can't beat it out. It's a decent swing, though. Hit it somewhat hard. Figured we gave James Wood a couple extra swings, so let's give Evan Carter that same chance. It's just now we got to face Walker Buehler again. That one looks like it could bloop in, though. Hey, I'll take it. I mean, I want to see good swings with some of these guys, but we might as well get on base. That is a good swing. There we go. That's going to be extra bases for all 3 of these guys. I'm going to go for 3 even with Carter. This might be close. We're in there, though. So a double from Wood, a double from Hassel, and Evan Carter's one-upping them with a triple. Dude, I swear, every single one of these games that I'm simming, Ian Happ is hitting right before my guy, and Ian Happ has gone deep at least 4 times already. Did I just make another good swing? I did. Didn't hit it well enough, though. Alright, I think I've seen what I needed to see offensively, though. I just thought it'd be fun to get some swings in with some guys we've never seen. Yeah, dude, look at this. Ian Happ is having a ridiculous spring so far. He's 10 for 17 with 4 bombs. Carry this into the regular season. I do want to see what we've got, though, out of our 2 relievers that I plan on bringing up. So Leo Blanco is going to get the first inning, and then in the second, I'm going to bring in Jose Ayala to see what he's got. I think they were both drafted in the same class, right? The year 2 draft class. Ooh, Leo Blanco throws some heat. That was a quick 97. I do like what Leo Blanco seems to bring to the table. A 5-pitch mix, that lefty presence. He's already got pretty good per 9s. There we go. We get the rollover to the leadoff hitter. That's a good sign, because maybe that's the one per 9. Well, I think his home runs per 9 is also low, so maybe that's not a great combo to have a lower home runs per 9 and a lower hits per 9. He's got a really good walks per 9 and an extremely good strikeouts per 9 rating. So if we're getting weak contact, that actually makes me feel kind of better about using him, because that's the hits per 9, I think. And we got another ground ball. I might leave him in for another batter or something, because I didn't even get to throw all of his pitches that I wanted to. Oh, come on, man. I want to punch out. Put that 88 Ks per 9 to work. Why is nobody swinging through these? Oh, he's going to inside out it. Come on, man. I just wanted to see a punch out. Yeah, I'll leave him in then. I'll leave him in for the lefty, Jesse Winker. In a way, he played a big role for us back in the March to October, because we had him as a random signing going into year 2 that the CPU just signed, but he had a blistering hot, I think, first month or 2 of the season. And then we got to trade him for Gavin Sheets straight up, and Sheets has been pretty good, and we're sitting him down. There's Leo Blanco's first spring training strikeout for me. All right, now it's time, though, to go to Jose Ayala, the righty. He's got really good hits and Ks per nine, and even better Ks per nine. It's in the 90s. Walks and home runs per nines are a little shaky, so he might give up a few walks, but hopefully the lack of contact makes up for it. Oh, he's taken off here. On the slider, doesn't matter. We've got a hose back there. We have a splitter and a change, though, which is kind of interesting because it has the same break, but the splitter is like 4 or 5 miles per hour harder. I don't know if that's good or not. Got a good fastball, though. Got him up and in. Yeah, I don't know if I'm a big fan of the splitter or the change. I would have hoped at least one of them was good, but each time I've thrown each of them, it really hasn't gotten a swing or a swing and a miss. Doesn't seem to have a ton of break. I think when I use Ayala, it's probably going to be fastball slider because that's what put him away there. Yeah, went exclusively fastball slider for that at bat and set him down. Ooh, left that down the middle. Okay, well, that's the home runs per nine probably coming into play. As long as I'm not hanging that pitch, he's not hittable. But the second I hang it, that one's going to get hit over the wall. Did he go? He did go. All right, well, besides the home run, Ayala showed out there with 4 punch-outs. All right, I think I've seen all I really care to see from spring training here. Like I said, I didn't plan on doing too much. So I think we're just going to go ahead and sim through spring here and hope nobody gets injured because that's something we have to worry about now. Man, we are kind of cleaning up here in spring, though. 16-8 now. Oh, and that's it. That was the last game of spring. 17-8 record in spring training. As one behind the Braves. I think that's where we're going to go ahead and end this first episode, though, of the Nationals franchise. I recorded this in 2 chunks, and I started editing that first chunk, and I'm already remembering why I was bad at making franchise videos before. But like I said, we're going to stick it out. We're going to learn together, and I'm going to make good franchise videos for once. Next episode, we'll be getting into opening day. We'll probably go a little past that, too. We'll talk about who made the roster and everything, although I think that's pretty much set in stone. But yeah, next episode's the real deal. It's where it all gets started. But guys, for now, make sure if you enjoyed today's episode, do me a huge favor and hit that like button. Also, do not shy away from leaving any thoughts in the comments, because if this video does suck, that's the only way I'm gonna get better, is if you guys provide input. If you are new to the channel and you didn't think this video sucked, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button for me so you don't miss this journey as we continue these Nationals into year 4 and beyond. But that is gonna be it for today, guys. So thanks for watching. Thanks for being here for episode 1, and I will see you next time.